Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I'm Braden. That's Tim. This is Second Legacy, and you are awesome for showing up. Thank you so much for that. Today, we have a huge announcement to come out with, guys. Merrick Garland has pinpointed the problem of all the gun violence, and shocker among shockers, it wasn't you or I. This is going to be great, and he said it at a Gun Violence Survivors Summit, which makes it so much sweeter. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about it in the comments field below. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We're going to say a quick word from our sponsor, and then we are going to dive right into this. And the content today is brought to you by a sponsor, Ammo Squared. Now, this is such an interesting idea, guys. We're talking about retirement accounts for your ammo. It's a thing. This is something you guys definitely at least look at if you're interested.
So what's really cool about it is you can tell Ammo Squared what type of ammunition you want, and it'll automatically purchase that ammunition throughout the month. You can also sell the ammunition back if you don't want it, or you can just say, send it to me now, and they'll hold it for you. They'll store it for free, and they'll ship it to you whenever you request it. There's so many cool features about this service. You really need to check them out at ammosquared.com, and we want to thank them for sponsoring today's video.
All right, Tim, listen, this is a very important announcement. I'm not sure if you heard it. This is big. Not a lot of fanfare on this one.
Okay, lay it on me.
So I'm gonna. Let me tell the people a little bit though for where this was, because it's important. So this was at the ATF headquarters yesterday. We had some very highfalutin people talking. We had Merrick Garland, Attorney General of the ATF, whom we're about to see. We had ATF Director Steve Dettelbach. We had Deputy Attorney General, I can't remember her name, whatever. They were all there. It's not important. But this is at a Gun Violence Survivors Summit at the ATF headquarters building. So now the pictures of individuals are going to be aligned to the wall while every ATF agent comes in the door. It's a thing, fine, whatever. That's not what the main story here is, Tim. I'm going to play a clip, and you just tell me what stands out to you in here. This is number one, Doctor. Let's get it.
We know what is at stake. So we are doing everything we can to interrupt and disrupt the cycle of gun violence from start to finish. We are working to honor the victims and survivors of gun violence by pursuing justice on their behalf and by holding the individual perpetrators of gun violence accountable for their crimes. We are using our prosecutorial and technological tools to identify the repeat offenders and gangs who are principally responsible for community violence.
It almost sounds like he's blaming somebody besides the firearm there.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's odd. I mean, unless I don't remember what that means in English, principally responsible means they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. You know, this whole conference was rubbing me raw, the wrong way, I should say, since I learned of it, because of course the gun grabbers are posting on X about it. Ethan Song's mother made a post about it, and she posted there's like a little kiosk or something, like a little display, LCD display that constantly changes names and, victims of gun violence. And her son's there. And she, along with ATF, which I'll get to in a moment, is pushing obviously for Ethan's Law. That's where Ethan's Law comes from. And they're calling him a victim of gun violence, folks. And they want to pass a law that requires safe storage. But if you read what's on that display, it makes it sound like he was accidentally killed by maybe his friend or something. No. And that the gun was just laying there unsecured. No, the gun was actually locked. It had a lock on it. They circumvented the lock. The gun was unloaded. He loaded it. And then according to the medical examiner, he committed suicide with it. That is not gun violence. That is another suicide. And that's a different problem. You can't label suicides as gun violence because then you're downplaying what it actually was. Somebody killed themselves. And so, and it's disingenuous what she's doing, pushing this Ethan's Law, saying we just need safe storage. Well, there was safe storage and it was circumvented, but they won't tell you that because then it would completely take the wind out of the sails for Ethan's Law. And so they perpetuate this continued lie. And then on top of that, we have the ATF. This is taking place with ATF's blessing. And ATF is supposed to be a federal law enforcement tax collection agency. What in the world are they getting involved in politics for? True. If you're a member of the service, a federal employee in the United States military, and you go out there and start talking politics, you'll get in trouble. Why is it these supposedly impartial enforcement agencies are very politicized and they're out there lobbying for more gun control?
Because that's the whole shtick. I have a phone and a pen. That's the entire point. It's like they've used the ATF and they've weaponized the ATF and they've weaponized the DOJ. It's all about pushing their political narrative because they don't have the levers of power. Instead of convincing people and meeting in the middle, they're just using the executive bureaucracies. But it speaks to something that you just said around the disingenuous nature of the arguments. You mentioned Ethan's song and the safe storage law, Ethan's law. If you just look at basic level of what they've told us for 3 years, saying that, oh, it's the guns, the inanimate object violence. If only we could do something about the guns, because the guns are the problem, the epidemic of gun violence, the scourge. It's all about those inanimate objects. He just said that it's the repeat offenders and the gangs.
The two things they refuse to address.
They don't address them, and they also continue to let people out through bail reform. So if you have repeated shooters who are being consistently let back into the system by the system, and then they are the principal cause along with gangs. Okay, so I'm asking for a friend in the back. What percentage of that is not the gun violence homicide rate? Because I'm betting a very large portion of that data comes from that area, and they're completely failing to address it in order to push gun control.
Yep.
It's twisted.
Yep. And keep in mind, folks, when a criminal goes out and does something criminal, then it's your fault. They did something, and they're not being punished. They're being set free. But your guns are the problem, not them and their criminal behavior. It's you. So the 99.9% of the people out there that are law-abiding gun owners, they have to pay the price for the criminals that aren't even paying the price for their own actions because these leftist nut jobs that keep turning them loose and then blaming you and your guns.
That's pretty much it. That's it in a nutshell. But you know, Tim, there's something else that I want to bring to your attention, because yesterday in our filming around the FEMA for mass shootings video, remember that one? You honed in on something, and I just want to bring it up again. So this is from the article. This is number 2. This one we covered yesterday, like FEMA, but for mass shootings. And this is an article all about Greg Jackson and the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Well, in number 3, we covered this, and you jumped on this too. This is the tail end. Participating. No, I'm sorry. That's not wrong way. The first part. A new emergency response team will meet in person for the first time on Friday in the Roosevelt Room, where it will unveil a new protocol for responding to mass shootings and surges in community gun violence. You picked up on that yesterday. Yeah. You said, wait, what's that? Merrick Garland just said the exact same thing. They are rebranding crime and homicides through gang violence and repeat offenders as community gun violence. That's what they are doing. That's the Attorney General of the United States. It is now a specialized subset of violent crime.
Yeah, they're probably sticking suicide in there too as a community violence, because suicide is violence in their mind. They'll lump suicide numbers in with actual crime.
Well, right, but I think they made a mistake on this. I think this is a really big mistake, because they just segmented it out. Now people like you and me can look at it and go, can we get a segment and a proper reading for community gun violence portion here so we can really parse out community gun violence, normal homicides, and suicides? So you have 3 categories. And if they do that, bro, they are going to undermine their point forever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do it.
We'll see, because they're always, that's one thing about the left. They don't stick with phrasing or terminology for very long. They keep trying new stuff, because what they're trying to do, they don't want to say gang violence. They don't want to say suicide. They don't want to say these things because it doesn't help their narrative. So they have to continuously try to find disingenuous ways to describe things, much like they do with bills in Congress, right? The Inflation Reduction Act. Let's just print $20 trillion frickin' dollars, which causes inflation. But we're going to call it the Inflation Reduction Act. And then under Bush, we have the Patriot Act. You're a patriot if you support this, which is basically spying on you, American citizen. And so this is what they do in Congress, and this is what the ATF and Merrick Garland and everybody else is doing. They're taking part in this rebranding effort to try to dissuade you from exercising your Second Amendment rights, to get you to go along with the gun grab and the bans by using pretty colorful language. It's for the children. It's for the community. And
all the
they're
children.
Just disgusting people. God, I hate them.
Yeah. How do you feel about it, Tim?
Well, I know. It's just, I wish the flood would happen again.
Not the flood.
Yeah, the flood. Bring back the flood.
Oh,
make the flood great again.
Make the. Oh, I was about to say. Nice one. But yeah, so now we have community gun violence. That's the new term. And just if you guys are keeping track at home, so far in the Biden administration, we've had the epidemic of gun violence. That was an oldie but a goodie. Then we had the scourge of gun violence. That was a Chuck Schumer creation. And now we have community gun violence. So, guys, I look forward to the next iteration. But so far, we've had one per year.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And then of course, we have the zombie gun violence, and then we have the slow walking zombie gun violence, the fast walking zombie gun violence, and we're still waiting to figure out what they come up with. I'm sure there's a focus group out there to figure out what's more scary than a zombie. And as soon as that happens, because zombies are scarier than ghosts, maybe it's werewolves. We were talking about this before, so we just got to stick around and figure out what their next phrasing and terminologies are going to be because they're so entertaining. We could write a book.
You're right. I've said it before, dude. I'm always partial to a Frankenstein gun because it actually has application, but I don't think they're going to do it. I don't know. It just doesn't have the vibe. But Merrick said some more, Tim. He did. So I got to show you that
Why
too.
does he sound like he's
Dr.
perpetually crying? And I just want
because he's a sniveling little sniveler.
God.
So with that, let's hear more from the sniveler.
We are supporting our state and local law enforcement and community partners in their efforts to drive down violent crime. We are cracking down on the criminal gun trafficking pipelines that flood our communities with illegal guns. We are deploying strike forces to dismantle every link in illegal trafficking networks, from wherever illegal guns originate to wherever they are used to commit violent crime.
Yeah, and up to and including private gated communities where upstanding citizens who work at airports may have sold one too many guns at a gun show and they were shot and killed for their efforts by his Department of Justice. And, so, yeah, they're working hard, folks. They're going right to the ground level, coming to a home near you.
Which ironically, I found this part, this is the one I wanted to just tear asunder, other than the whole, it's gangs and repeat offenders doing all of it. You remember all the talk we've done about ATF's Project Thor or Operation Thor?
Yeah.
I mean, like literally a full-on nationwide network tracking all of the trafficking, straw purchases, and smuggling that the Biden administration and the DOJ under Merrick Garland completely defunded inexplicably. And this guy's sitting there talking to the Gun Violence Survivors Summit saying, like, we're doing so much for trafficking. Man, you liar, pants on sniveling fire.
Yeah.
Because you defunded the entire operation of which you are saying you're doing. Piece of.
Are you calling Sniveler a whiny little liar?
He's the Sniveler.
I was waiting for him to.
It's like the new Riddler.
He needs to keep a box of Kleenex there when he's giving a speech. And we've been working tirelessly.
He's very. He's
tireless.
very whiny.
I know. God, man, and they call these leaders. Leaders we deserve, old Davy Hogg, except he's wanting the...
Oh, well, not Davy Hogg. Yeah. He's rich off that now. You didn't know?
He's doing good,
He's done great for himself.
Yeah, he's paying himself a lot of money.
He is. He's feeling great. He's feeling great because life, he works really hard. It's really hard to be the angsty teenager on CBS.
That has to hitchhike.
I want to bring something.
Because he's so poor.
Hitchhike to the eclipse. Yeah. That's right. Oh, man. Well, Tim, I'm going to play the final clip that I thought was of note from this Gun Violence Survivors Summit. And you tell me what he's talking about right here and what they're implying. This is number 5, Doctor.
And we are using our own authorities and supporting the efforts of law enforcement agencies across the country to implement laws that keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to themselves and to others.
I can't get past the way that clown talks. And they want to,
I'm sorry, he does. He snivels.
But beyond that, he like muddles his words just like Biden.
Well, and it's
crazy. Anyway, sorry. I mean, I'm just totally distracted by his presentation.
It's just like the Tom Cruise.
Like,
you just can't get past it.
No, you can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I can't even listen to what the man's saying because I'm like, is he going to keel over any second? Does he need to change his colostomy bag? I mean, what's going on? The guy seems in pain.
He's just a mousy guy. He's just mousy. He's mousy. He's the sniveler.
I guess.
So what he just said there, Tim, was that they use all of their authority and local partners' authority to implement laws that prevent those from hurting themselves or others. You know what that's code for?
Yeah, gun bans.
Red flag laws.
And gun bans.
The ATF and the DOJ, well, yeah.
Yeah, so they're talking about extreme risk protection orders and all, and red flag laws, or whatever they want to call them today. Yeah.
Yeah, so now they're pushing red flag laws through the money provided by the Senate Safer Communities Act to states that don't have them to implement them. Well, that would mean that you're pushing politically into different areas to get them to take up those red flag laws through the DOJ. This is pretty close to going uncomfortably authoritarian, in my opinion. Just saying.
No, not this group of
Yes.
people.
Yep.
They're not authoritarians. They're not.
The sniveler and the goober.
They love democracy, dude. They've yet to find an actual democracy, but they love it. And if they ever do find one, they're just going to snuggle it to death. And then whiny snivellers.
They liked it when they liked it when they read about it in the history of Greece.
Yeah.
It was in Athens.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, these poor democratic people. Anyway, so yeah, I guess the whole takeaway for this, and this is something I've been stewing on all morning, is the fact that the ATF is getting involved in politics, and it shouldn't be doing that. That tells you that this agency cannot be impartial, that they actually have an agenda. I mean, this whole conference is about promoting their agenda, and their agenda is disarming you. And they're backing it, and they're bringing in anti-gunners to speak at these little gatherings. They're pushing a political narrative, and this must be stopped. This is one major reason and one major justification for defunding these groups, especially the ATF. They serve no purpose other than to push a political agenda and to act as a military branch for the people in power right now, Biden, and going around kicking in doors and taking people's rights away and prosecuting them like CRS firearms for completely BS reasons. So they need to be defunded. And it's not just hyperbole, and that's not just a catchy phrase. They're literally becoming a detriment to our presumably free country. Right? Do you agree? And then I'll take us out.
I mean, man, you went from a slumber into a raging inferno very quickly, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, well,
no, I think I just had stoked the fire enough, put enough gasoline on it. The thing that really probably resonates the best of what you just said is the politicization of executive bureaucracies, because you can make the argument one way or the other from both sides of the aisle of we need the executive bureaucracy to enforce law, because if we don't enforce those laws, who's going to enforce those laws? Those arguments can happen all day long in the halls of Congress. I don't care about those arguments. You guys figure it out. I don't trust that you'll figure it out well, but figure it out. But the moment that the executive branch in the White House starts utilizing these agencies as political actors like this, to your point, that's the point where I go, okay, you've officially gone into a realm that you're not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
And it's that politicization in order to further the desires of the White House through it within the government. It's very
Think of it this way.
Surreptitious.
Think of it this way. Could you imagine driving through town and seeing a bunch of uniformed officers in a line with a bunch of picket signs saying, "Take their guns now"? Could you imagine seeing that? Well, that's what ATF is doing right there. So it's disgusting. You have people that are responsible for enforcing laws out advocating to take more rights away and to impose more laws to put a boot on your throat. And that's no different than seeing actual uniformed officers standing on the side of the road holding up signs, "Take their guns now, kick in their doors." So anyway, I'll leave you with that little tidbit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, right? Interesting take. Thanks for watching Second Legacy.
That's unique.
Think about it. We'll talk to you guys soon.